Hello everyone, back out on the water in my crawdad. I've got to navigate this little stream to get to the lake, so that's going to take a few minutes. It does open up eventually. I've been to this lake before. We actually stayed at it. We rented a house on the lake and I fished here for 7 days or so, 6 days. I've been to this lake a handful of times since, but never in the fall. So I have to kind of figure out everything all over again. But I know there's pickerel in here, there's largemouth, there's smallmouth, there's perch, and they stock it with trout. I've caught brook trout here. I'm going in reverse because it's a little easier to navigate. There's not a lot of room to turn around. But as soon as it opens up, I'll turn this ship around. So we're looking at some stained water. It's pretty clear, but it definitely has, I call it tannin stain from the trees and the swamps and the stream running in. So it's heavily stained, but the water is clear. It's not like it's filled with particles or anything. You can see pretty well even with the stain. Sometimes certain polarized lenses help with stained water. Maybe a copper lens or even a gray lens. I've got gray lenses today. They work all right. Finally have enough room to turn around, so that's what I'm doing. There's not a lot of wind on this side. There's a little bit more in the distance, but it's pretty calm overall. So when it's flat like this, usually the first rod I go to is my BFS rod. I've got a Super Fluke Junior on there, watermelon red flake, and I'm fishing around some of these rock piles. I think that was a little smallmouth that grabbed a hold of the tails there. But I'm fishing around some of these rock piles that are on my way out to the main lake, just to see if anybody's home. The water's still pretty warm, and I think I need a few more degrees of cooler overnight temps to get those fish to come shallow, but I'm going by it, so I figure it's worth a few casts. Maybe I can get one bonus fish. You can see right into the water, even though it's stained. Some big boulders. So what I'm going to do is make my way over to some islands, fish around there. I've done well by those islands in the past, so I'm basically fishing history, but it's a different kind of I don't know, structure around the islands. Usually there's flats and rocks and points and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't take very long. I started casting at that rocky point as soon as it came into view. I'm fishing a mini swammer. It's a search bait. It's chartreuse and white. And, it only took a few casts and I was into some white perch. Now these white perch are kind of an average size. These would be good to keep for the table. Some people find them to be a little bit fishy compared to yellow perch or crappie. I guess they are fish. They just have a little bit of a stronger flavor. They're all pretty good though. The bigger ones tend to be a little bit more gamey, I think anyway. And I've heard other people say the same, but it's really personal preference. Whatever you like. So in my neck of the woods, which is New England, white perch are pretty common. They're all around the East Coast. Yellow perch are more common in the U.S., basically from kind of the middle of the U.S. up to the north. There's plenty of yellow perch. Save this swim bait.
before it gets trapped.
So I switched to this ultralight rod, and the lure I'm fishing is a Z-Man shad fries on a 1/16 ounce tin ball head. I've done really well on this new Z-Man micro series, and I especially like the shad fries. It's basically a little micro swim bait. It's made of the Z-Man plastic, which is very tough. Eventually the fish will tear off that little tail.
There he is.
But it works very well for as long as that little tail lasts. And the tail doesn't have much kick at all. It's just a little flutter back there. When I first saw it swimming in the water, I didn't think it would work as well as it did. But I really, especially in the early spring, I did really well on crappie with it. Caught all kinds of panfish with it. I've caught bass. And I really like it. Went back to the swim bait after messing with the white perch for a while. The bigger swim bait, I mean.
There he is. There he is.
And I hooked something that felt pretty decent. I thought it was a smallmouth at first.
That could be a smallmouth. What have I got? That is a small. No, that's a big white perch. That's a great big white perch. Nice. That's a great big white perch. Oh, we're talking.
That's a nice white perch. Get my thumb on him. Now this is the kind of white perch I let go. If I wanted to keep some for the table, I'd keep some of those average sized ones. He's heavy enough, I'm going to put him on the scale. I usually don't weigh fish unless, you know, they're pretty big. And he's big enough to check on the scale. As long as I don't lose him. Playing around with the net.
Come on. Quit giving me a hard time. $1.15. Almost 2 pounds, but not quite. $1.15. Oh. Said 2 for a second. I'm gonna
115, almost 2 pounds. If I caught that fish pre-spawn, he would have been over 2. He's a little skinny right now. While I was fishing for white perch, I kept catching these little rat pickerel. They wouldn't leave me alone. I lost my Z-Man shad fries to them, and they were just a menace. Luckily, I didn't lose my swammer. But see you later, Mr. Pickerel.
You are free to go.
I was trying to do a time lapse here, so it looks like I'm going a lot faster than I actually was. But I've lost the wind. It's pretty dead flat calm right now, and that just makes the fish a lot tougher to catch. And I decided I better head back to the ramp so I'm not doing this in the dark. But it was a good afternoon on the water. Caught a lot of white perch. Got a few bonus pickerel. Traditionally, people would fish for white perch with a spinner rig. It's basically an inline spinner with a worm hook on the back of it. And you would put a night crawler or red worms or garden worms or compost worms on the back. And then you would slow troll this early in the morning or in the evening until you ran into a school of white perch. And then you'd go back and forth over the area that you found that school of white perch until you caught enough for dinner. Different states have different regulations on how many you can keep and when and all that stuff. But, you know, if you get 2 or 3 white perch, that's a pretty good dinner. You can bake them or fry them or grill them. And they're a lot of fun to catch too. I like to catch them with lures, casting, not so much trolling. I know it works. It's just more fun for me to cast for them. They're also fun to catch in the winter, jigging through the ice if you have ice in your area of the U.S. And the same sort of thing. They tend to school up. They follow bait around under the ice. They stay pretty active even in the winter. And they're a lot of fun to catch. So I'm making my way back up the stream. And I'm going to beach the crawdad. I'm going to take all the stuff out of it. And I'm going to show you guys how I load up the crawdad without getting my feet wet. Got a rope on the bow there. And this is a great system because I don't need a trailer. And that means I can get into almost any place. I can park almost anywhere. Anywhere I can park the truck, that bed extender disassembles. And then I can haul it up into the truck bed, strap it down, put that orange safety flag out the back, and I'm off to the next one. So it's a nice system. Alright, thanks everyone for watching. I'll list all the gear in the video description. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!